What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to Knives of the Round Table. And this time I have for you the Kansept Knives Mini Accipiter. There's a full-size version of this knife that came out some time ago, but the really interesting ones, the variants, came in the mini version. This one is a knife that kind of snuck up on me. Kansept is not a brand that I really had on my radar. It's you can't follow all brands as a knife collector, and this one in particular, the only reason that it came on my radar is because it appeared as one of like the newer rivals in one of the websites that I follow. And I saw it and I thought, wow, that looks pretty nice. Damascus blade, with Timascus. And when I clicked on it, I saw that it was actually a Damasteel blade with a Timascus show side and a Timascus clip. And then I saw the price and I thought, so it's not inexpensive, it's $375. But for Timascus and Damasteel, you usually can't get Timascus and Damasteel at that price. And for those of you who don't know, Damascus and Damasteel are not the same thing. So when you have Damascus, Damascus is just a combination of two steels, right? And they layer them, they forge weld them, and what you get is when you etch them, the two steels with two different properties, they erode at a different rate, right? And that's how you get the patterning on the blade. But to create a Damascus steel, all you have to do is combine two crap steels, and that's it, right? You etch them and it looks beautiful. But if you have two crap steels to begin with, then you end up with crap at the end. Now, what Damasteel has done is they have combined two powder steels. I think one of them is RW34, which is kind of like CPM 154. Or I think the composition is very similar. But what you have is they combine two really good steels, so you end up with a really good steel that also looks beautiful. So when you see Damasteel, it has to be made by the Damasteel Corporation, and it's made of two really good steels, and that's why it's more expensive than just your regular Damascus type steel. So at $375, it's really strange to be able to find this combination, certainly in production knives and at this price point. So when I saw it, I pulled the trigger on it and I wanted to take a look at it. So this is a 3-inch blade, so it's not a large knife, but let me give you kind of some size comparisons here, because usually I prefer a little bit bigger than that, at least 3¼ inches. But this is a 3-inch blade. I think it comes in at 6 and 7 inches, 6 and 7/8 inches overall. But if I give you some size comparisons, if you see, that's a full-size bug out right there. So it comes in smaller than the full-size bug out, but it's a little bit bigger than the mini bug out. So if there was a medium bug out, that's kind of the size that it would be. So it carries really well in the pocket, because, well, bug outs carry really well, and this is kind of right in the middle of the full size and the mini. And if I show you against the paramilitary, that's a pair 2 and that's a pair 3. So it's significantly smaller than both of them. If I give you the comparison with just a pair 3, well, it has a larger cutting edge, but look at the size. There's a big size difference here between the pair 3 and the mini Accipiter. It's also much thinner in this direction than the Para 3. And I think where it makes the most difference is when you do the carry profile. You know, it's dwarfed by the Para 3. So it's a smaller knife, but it's strange because I wear size large gloves, and I can still get a full 4-finger grip on it. So even though it's a smaller knife, I think it can fit into like a gentleman's carry type use. If you wanted it, it's a front flipper, so it'll deploy fast, right? But I think the size it can still do that. So ergonomics, I think, are pretty good. Like I said, you get this 4-finger grip, and they did this. So you get this finger groove right here, and then you get a flat, and then you have like this flat area on the back, and it goes where it should, right? My finger goes there. You got 2 fingers that go on the flat, and then the pinky kind of locks it in place, and it just goes. It just works really, really, really well in my hands. Now the pocket clip, you can feel it. You can feel it in your hand, but I would say that it's still a pretty good pocket clip, especially because it's Timascus. It's just beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's so nice. Let's just admire it for a second. The action on it is it's okay. It's good. I'd say it's pretty good. I hesitated and I changed my mind because this was my first front flipper, and I have several other front flippers since then. But the larger the front flipper, the larger the knife, it fits my hand better. I have a couple of peñas that are so small in my hand that I struggle. My hand just doesn't want to wrap around it for the front flipping. I have a 520 that's bigger than this that I can flip much easier. But the detent's really good. It deploys really well. It's just I'm not a huge fan of front flippers in general. If this had a flipper tab, which that's my preferred deployment method, I think I would enjoy this knife much better. Now, because it is a small knife, it's 3-inch blade, and it's a thin stock, you don't get a drop shut. I mean, you can coax it down, but it doesn't drop shut. But if you follow my channel, you know that for the most part, when I talk about action, I like deployment action more than closing action. I think, in my opinion, I enjoy the deploying of it more than the closing. In other words, I like that it feels better when I deploy it than to have the drop shut action. If I could only have one, I'd rather have it be a good deployment. Now this is Kansept knives, and Kansept, like I said, it's not a brand that I follow, but I would say that the fit and finish is pretty darn good. I think it's on this knife is on bearings, I believe so, and it came perfectly centered. Like I said, the detents are really dialed in, no problems whatsoever. The Timascus fits really well in the inlay. Here you don't see any any gaps or anything like that. So I'd say the fit and finish is pretty good. Now, if we go to airing of grievances, right? One, like I said, I would prefer this to be a flipper tab knife, just because I enjoy flippers more than I enjoy front flippers. And the second is the backspacer. So the backspacer is fine as it is. The only thing is it's just blue anodized. The original price on this thing was something like $650, which is what you would expect of Damasteel and Timascus. Okay, you can always expect that combination of materials to be in that price range. But at that price range, you also expect the backspacer to be the same Timascus and the same Timascus. Now it looks okay. It's not bad. I think I would maybe have done it in a polished as opposed to a matte anodizing. But at the original price point, I think this should have been Timascus. So you'd have Timascus and then titanium, Timascus, titanium, and then Timascus again. I think that's what I would have done. Now I can't complain too much at the reduced price that you can find it right now, which is $375. But if I could, I would have liked the other better. Now, I did want to say that you can still find, as of the airing of this video, you can still find this version of the knife. And then there's another one that if you want to save some money, they have the Timascus version with an S35VN blade, just a plain steel blade, and that's like $200. And $200 for a piece of Timascus that's like this. Now this isn't the greatest Timascus in the world. There's not all Timascus are created equal, but it's pretty darn good. I like the Timascus much better on the clip than the one out here. But you can get the Timascus version with the S35VN, and that's only like $200. So that's also a pretty good deal. So guys, if you ever wanted to get into a knife that had Damasteel and Timascus, you usually just find that in really high-end production knives or custom knives. So if you ever saw one of these things or saw pictures of Timascus and you said, man, I wish that I could get in on it, this is probably an affordable way. And I'd say it's pretty good value at $375 for a Damasteel blade and Timascus. Now it is Chinese made, okay, full disclosure, but I think it's a pretty good knife with pretty good materials. So if you ever wanted to say, hey, I want to give that a shot, but we're scared about the price, I think $375 is a pretty good deal. Well guys, as always, if you think I earned it and if you liked it, hit like, subscribe, and until I see you again, take care.